Hello everyone, my name is Anton. Before I forget, hit the subscribe button, and today I'll be talking to you guys about the Ircc website. For these who don't know it, Ircc stands for Immigration, Refugees, Citizenship of Canada. I'll be adding a link also to this website, and from that website you can very much find every other link that I'm going to be talking about to you guys. There's a step-by-step guide, but I'll be taking you through the steps at the moment. Who needs a profile? To start your journey, you will need to create an Ircc profile, which is very much your communication point and your application point, what you're going to do via Ircc to get whatever permit you're looking for. Firstly, one of the main things you will be doing before actually creating a profile is get all your documents together. I will send out another video regarding all these documents that you need and list them so you can very much tick them off. There is a checklist also, but I think the video would very much be self-explanatory to you. Once you've created your profile, make sure that all your files are combined into one PDF and shrunk to make it easy accessible and easier uploadable to the system. You can use a website called I Love PDF, or if you have Adobe, you should be able to use Adobe to shrink your file. Who needs to create a profile? The main applicant. Everybody else will be added to the main applicant, and therefore just the main applicant will be managing the profile and all the applications, all the submissions, all notifications. You can also request to have a representative. That can be either a family member or an agency that is registered to do these kind of applications. Please don't ask your best friend to do it. Once you created your profile, you would be given an additional application package which we have to complete. This is additional paperwork which you're not going to get just off the website. They will only give it to you once you've created your profile. It's fairly straightforward to complete, so just follow the steps. You should be fine just by following the steps. On those forms you do get a checklist, so once again, like I said, it's fairly easy to follow step by step. Just follow the checklist. Once you follow the checklist, make sure all the boxes are ticked off which is applicable to your application, and make sure that your application package is complete. I need to put emphasis on complete. It means all your documentation is there, ready to go. Once your application is ready to go, uploaded, you would get a request to pay your fees, which usually would be via credit card. Unfortunately, no checks, cash, or any other method of payment would be accepted. Once your application is in the system, after a certain period of time, you would get a notification to visit a VAC center, which is a visa application center. At the center is very much your biometrics that you would have to provide to them. It takes 15 minutes. Honestly, it'll probably take you longer to get parking, whether it's in Johannesburg or Cape Town, than it would be to actually go into the center and get this done. It's digital fingerprints, a photo that I take. That's very much just confirmation that you are going where you're going, and you're in and out within 15 minutes. Once you visit the Ircc website, it's very easy to find the application that you require, whether it is a visitor's visa, work permit, study permit, permanent residency, even family reunification you can find on the website. It is really easy. It's step-by-step guidance that they give you on the website. They have upgraded the website in the last couple of years, and from what I can see, it is 10 times easier than it was when we did our application a few years ago. In the comment section, I would list all the topics that I've mentioned. I would add in website links so you can easily get to those websites. From there, it's very much just clicking away, following the order that you need, following the process that you need, and you would be very much good to go. on your IRCC profile, you can check your application status. You can check the processing times. On that, I would abbreviate at some point a little bit more. It's not as easy as saying, oh, I have 2 weeks left to wait or 4 weeks left to wait. It's very much as simple as once your complete application has been submitted, you would end up having an estimated current waiting time. That is from a whole bunch of applications that is actually in the system, and that time is calculated on how long, let's say 100 or 1,000 or 5,000 people have taken to get their applications processed. So it's not just aimed at your personal application, it's very much an estimate for what it is for your type of application. So once your application is complete and it's submitted and the package is very much just good to go, from a complete application, your waiting period, for instance, would say 8 weeks, as an example. This is not accurate, this is just an example. So once it says 8 weeks, it's very much 8 weeks from where your application was submitted, not 8 weeks from where you are now. You might revisit the website, ask for the status, and check the current waiting time, and it will tell you again after 4 weeks, oh, you're still waiting 8 weeks. It's not 8 weeks for you per se. It is 8 weeks from when your application was submitted. So write down the date, and that's actually a very good tip as well, is have a little notebook and make sure you write down the dates when all the applications and everything are done. You can check it on the website, but sometimes rather than having to log in every time and check the dates, for instance, if you maybe forgotten it, you can just open the book, check the date, and make sure, okay, well, 8 weeks from now I can check it. Keep in mind, you don't have to check it every day. What very much the IRCC website is so well organized that if anything is required, you would instantly get an email notification, which would tell you there is a notice, a message of sorts, that you need to go log in and check your application. They will not email you and say, oh, this is where your application is, because it's private. All the notification email will say is, please log on and go have a look at what your status or new message is on your application. That's very important to remember. On the application status, you can update any documents if they are requesting additional documents, or maybe if you've forgotten to add an additional document, you can always then add additional documents. You can change your address. For instance, I know a lot of people end up either moving, selling property, getting ready to move to Canada, and you're not always certain about the timeline. So once you actually need to change your address, because it's very important that the address that you apply with is the address that shows up in all your documentation. So maybe don't be in such a major hurry to change your address if you don't have to, just because it would make your application much smoother, simpler, but you can change your address on it. It will take a couple of weeks for it to actually reflect on the system. You can even ask for a refund, but there are terms and conditions. So it's one of those things. But one tip that I can tell you is once you start this process, just keep going. It's worth it. Notifications. On the notifications, you might get a notification to say, pay your fees. You might get a notification to say, go do your biometrics, which is the VAC center, which I mentioned. Get the little notebook and start writing down some of the shorthand terms, which I would mainly refer to. You will also see that a lot of other people on WhatsApp groups or Telegram groups would refer to some of the abbreviations. So VAC is obviously, like I said, the Visa Application Center. WP is Work Permit. SP, Study Permit. PR is obviously your permanent residency. So just get to know those shorthand terms. It helps a lot. It helps by texting shorter than you have to. Notifications also that you can get, and for besides that, is to go get a medical. In a lot of cases, coming to Canada, you would need a medical done. It's not at any doctor. There are specialized doctors that do this. One that I know of is in Cape Town. One center is in Cape Town. They have about, I think, 5 or 6 doctors that work there. It's in the foreshore area. And then there's another center up in Johannesburg, Pretoria, around that region that also does this. It's not your normal GP doctor that does this kind of medical tests and checkups for you. So on their website, they would give you a list of the actual doctors that can do it. Like I said, in the foreshore, there is doctors that can actually do this procedure, and they would log in whatever findings or reports they need to the system. So don't be hasty to go do this beforehand. Yes, once you do get your application, there'll probably be a 30-day waiting period. What I suggest you do then is get your booking done for the doctor, write a letter stating and showing proof that this is the booking, because they generally give you a certain amount of days to do your medical. So what you will end up doing is just write a letter, add in the proof that you have booked it, upload it to the system to say, I know there is a notification that you can put in other documents or notices or something, and just tell them that, listen, you are busy in the process and that they should please not cancel your application. We've had that same scenario, especially with COVID, that my waiting period was about 45 days and they only gave me 30 days as a good example. So another abbreviation to learn is IME, which is Immigration Medical Examination. That is what you're going to go for. It's fairly straightforward. You're going to get x-rays, you're going to get blood drawn, you're going to get your weight, length, those kind of things checked up. It's very basic, but it takes about a few hours depending on how many people are going in. For me, example, as one person, it took about 2.5 hours for me to wait and go through the whole process, because you do it at different rooms and areas on different floors in the building. Therefore, you're going to have to wait a couple of times to get through the whole process. If you're a larger family, let's say 4, maybe 5 people in the family, you're probably going to end up waiting 3 to 3.5 hours to go through that whole process and get it done. If you're lucky, probably a bit faster than that. So make sure you get everything done in the morning, take some snacks with. You will get hungry during the whole process. Please take note that the IRCC on the notification may ask for medical. Therefore, it is not always required. What happens then is, if you end up going and spending a whole bunch of money to get 4 family members tested and x-rayed and everything ready at the center, it might not even be required. Therefore, it is safer and better just to wait so you get the notification to say, listen, you need to go for the medical. It gives reference numbers, which is very important for the doctors to have also. So as I mentioned previously, the doctors then take those reports and results and upload it according to the reference numbers that you get from the IRCC if they request you to go for medical. So don't be hasty, don't waste time, but don't waste your money either. You might be exempt for medical if you already applied and or are about to apply for permanent residency or work permit. Therefore, just wait for the notice. The other reason also is because you might already live in Canada and therefore either have already done the medical, or you are then, in that case, because you're already living in Canada, might be exempt to have to do a medical. One of the other reasons also that you might be exempt for medical is because you might have done one in the last 5 years. Now, the 5 years mark might differ from one application to another, but in general, at the moment, it's about 5 years. So your medical is good for you for the next 5 years, or valid for you in the next 5 years, at least once you've done it. In some cases, if your IME has actually shown that you are a low risk or no risk public health or public safety, it might be also that you are exempt for future applications, applying for permanent residency and citizenship and so forth. Therefore, I have added the website link. Click on it, read about it. Another topic I want to touch on is police clearance. Police clearance or police certificate is very important to have, and not the basic one. You want to get the full police clearance done. It takes longer to do. The standard one, from what I understand, if you're doing like an employee clearance, that is something they do within 24 hours or 48 hours or something like that. It's not that application. It's the full one, the full application that you need to do to get your clearance done. It's going to take about 8 weeks for you to get that. I would suggest once you actually decide to start getting all your paperwork together, get your police clearance done very much first. The very, very first thing, because you're going to wait the longest for that certificate to arrive at your residence. Therefore, do that first and then start with all the other paperwork. I also added a link if you want to read more about it. There's different terminologies about it. I know in South Africa we call it a police clearance or police certificate for some of you. Once all that paperwork is done and your application is through, your payments has been done, you've got your notifications to go do your VAC, go do your medical, you will get a notification to say that your application is approved or might be waiting for additional paperwork. If you get the notification to say that you are now approved, there is a process which I would do a separate video for you guys that has totally just got to do with getting your visas and your passports and all that kind of stuff arranged and organized so that the application goes through properly and you don't have additional waiting time or loss of your passports, which is something you do not want to do. Just a quick one on passports. Be sure that you at least have enough time on your passport and that your passport doesn't expire within, let's say, a year. It's well worth the time to just, while you are in South Africa, get yourself a new passport so that it's new dated. I mean, kids, I think it's 5 years, adults it's 10 years. So just go do your passport as fresh as possible once you want to start this process. By the time you get all your paperwork together, get your police clearance, your passports will also be ready. So then you can start your application with new fresh passports, police clearances done and ready to go. It also does have an expiry. Police clearances usually have a year expiry date once you've actually received it, or actually technically once they've stamped it and you received it a couple of weeks later. That's the process. So be sure to try to get all your stuff date-wise as fresh as possible. It's a tricky business, but I'm pretty sure you can, by the tips that I've given you, be able to do it on a really good timing so that you don't have an expired police clearance or expired passports. Like I said, those are very important to have as fresh as possible when it comes down to dates. Lastly, on another topic, I will be making a separate video just discussing PNP, Provincial Nominee Program. That is a different process you can take to apply to get to Canada. I would also be discussing work permits, study permits, in generally visitors visas. Not that we've done those, but they should be straightforward. I think for these for the people that are concerned about applying for permanent residency directly and find it more challenging to achieve the points that they need, because it works in a pointing system, so you end up falling in a pool, not an actual physical pool, but a virtual pool with numbers. So once you've started doing your application, you gain a certain amount of points for your work experience, qualifications, age, all those kind of things matter. What happens then is, let's say you get 650 points, but the IRCC only take the top, let's say 300 applications, and the cutoff as it is at 670, for instance, then you will not make that cutoff. And to get more points towards your application, you can also apply for the PMP process. Now, the PMP process is for each province, and what it very much ends up being is you're gonna apply to work in a certain province, and if that province accepts your application to go work in their province, then you would end up getting additional 600 points from that province that will add to your application, and therefore you would end up in the higher level of that pool, and therefore have very much fallen the first 50 applicants or 100 applicants at least, depending on how many points you either need or what the next draw is going to be. There is a draw every second week. The draws are not the same, so in most cases permanent residency applications are done only once a month. Thank you very much. I will be starting all my other videos that would be with regards to PMP, work permits and such. I would be also uploading a few videos of Victoria itself and the area, the ups and the downs and the do's and the don'ts. Just adding some videos maybe so you guys can actually see how Victoria looks like, for instance, how it is here in Canada. It's not snowing all the day, therefore just to give you guys some guidance on what to expect once you get here and the system and how it works. I would also make other videos regarding school applications and how it works and how the system works. I would also be discussing how the hospitals and doctors and all those kind of things work around here. And if you guys have any questions about anything specific, I'm more than happy to make a video and answer those questions. So please don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I appreciate all the subscribers and followers, and I look forward to talking to you guys again. Thank you.